Okay, so it's 5:30. Can everyone hear me? Great. Okay, so I'm presenting a slide, but Michael, if you want to maybe kick it off, start doing introductions.
All right. Good evening, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. My name is Michael Barrio, and I am the Executive Director of the Santa Fe Housing Action Coalition. And I'm excited to host what will be the first in a series of info sessions and training sessions that focus on the New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration's Emergency Rental Assistance Program. And next week, the Emergency Mortgage Assistance Program. So as many of you know, as the federal eviction moratorium comes to an end at the end of this month, New Mexicans across the state have become more and more worried about what this means for them, what it means for our communities, our families, what it means for us, what it means for our state. And our priority at the Santa Fe Housing Action Coalition is to promote housing and affordable housing for every single New Mexican. And that means supporting and pursuing housing policy that creates an equitable housing landscape for all of us. But it also means that we help to promote the good work of the many organizations, community leaders, and stakeholders across the state that are working to provide real-time assistance to our communities. So it's with great pleasure that I can host tonight's information session on the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. Tonight will be an opportunity for you to learn more about the program, how it works, who's eligible to apply, and you'll also have an opportunity to ask questions and get answers in real time. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to introduce our guest, Donnie Quintana, Director of Local Government Division and Emergency Rental Assistance Program Director at the New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration, who will be leading tonight's overview and discussion. Thank you for being with us tonight, Donnie. I would also like to introduce and thank our interpreter, Ruth Lopez, for joining us tonight and helping to get our message out to everyone. Thank you so much for providing this important service, Ruth. A small note on translation before we get started. If you'd like to hear this program in Spanish, first you're going to want to click on the globe icon on the bottom right-hand side of your screen and select Spanish. Next, you'll select mute original audio to mute the simultaneous English audio. And that's it, pretty easy. You should now be able to hear the program in Spanish and in real time. And with that, I'll let Donnie take it from here. Donnie, take it away.
Good evening, everybody. It is my pleasure to be able to present to you what I feel is a tremendously important and beneficial program that I hopefully several of you folks can be able to utilize to assist you during these challenging times, as we all recognize that have been embarked on as a result of COVID and the pandemic. So what I'd like to do is present to you a couple of series of slides that have some general information on the program, the overview of the program, eligibility, how do you apply, and so forth. And definitely give you all an opportunity to ask questions, as many questions as you may think of. Hopefully we can provide you an answer. And more importantly, I will definitely solicit and request from all of you that please share this information with your neighbors, with your friends, with your families, with folks that may go to school with your kids, folks that go to church with you. If you know of anybody that may even think that they're eligible for this program, please, by all means, let them know about the program. So with that, I want to start off with the website address is renthelpnm.org, renthelpnm.org. And at that website, you can find a variety of useful information, as well as the digital application. You have an opportunity to request a paper application. We do recognize that not everyone has the technical resources available to them to submit a digital application. So we do want to provide you with a means to request a paper application. We will get you a paper application. On our website, we have a 1-800 number or a 1833 number where we operate a call center 7 days a week, 8 hours a day, to be able to answer questions directly about the program and more importantly, about the application process. So with that, I would like to get started. I do want to share with you that the state of New Mexico was one of 4 entities in the state that received funding to administer a program such as the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. The name can be a little misleading because the program also supports utility assistance. So we'll talk about that more in a minute, but although the name utility is not in the name, folks are eligible to apply for utility assistance and or both. You can definitely request assistance for your rent that you may owe, or and we'll talk about it in a few minutes, rent into the future, or you can look for utility assistance that you may owe or utility assistance in the future as well. So with that, next slide, please. So again, my name is Donnie Quintana, and you saw my email address. What I really want to point out here is a couple of key things. The first thing, there you go, thank you. So there's my email address and as well as Michael's. Please, by all means, if you don't have an opportunity to ask any questions and or if you have any feedback or input on how we can make this program more successful and more accessible, please, by all means, reach out to me, reach out to Michael, and we definitely will take it into consideration. And if possible, we would incorporate any thoughts you may have. The bottom line for us is this: we really want to help folks. We want to make sure that we reach out to everyone. Everyone has an opportunity to apply for this program. And more importantly, we can really assist folks with these funds. I will tell you that our position of default or our position is always to try to get to a yes, that we do want to make an award. So we will do everything we possibly can to help folks. I think it is also important to mention that citizenship, being a citizen of the United States, is not criteria, is not a requirement. We do not ask you. You do not have to tell us. We are not concerned with your citizenship. What we are concerned is if you need assistance, that we can support you. We all recognize that the pandemic has brought on tremendous challenges, health-wise, economically, financially, as well as socially. So if we're able to assist you, and I like that first slide because you can definitely see that the young lady, the young mother, is very, is pondering because she's challenged with financial hardships, and they can be extremely stressful. We recognize that. But I want you to know that we are here to help. And that's why the program is renthelpnm.org. So the one thing I want to highlight here is on that first sentence, please do not let that 170 million be misleading to you. It's a lot of money, but don't take that for, well, I can do it tomorrow. I can apply tomorrow. Please apply right away. Let us get a chance to help you right away. So don't think that the money's going to be there into the future. Let's do everything now to get the funds to you and assist you through this program. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the program is designed to help rental and utility assistance. The one thing, and I'll stress it here, and I believe it comes up on the presentation further, is that you have to be a renter to be eligible for this program. At the conclusion of this presentation, I will talk briefly about another program that is in the works that is known as the Homeowner Assistance Fund. That program is designed to help homeowners, and there is a difference, and I'll tell you, I'll explain that to you a little further on the presentation. So the other thing I want to mention, you heard me say that the state of New Mexico was one of 4 recipients of funds for this program, to administer this program. The others were Bernalillo County. So anything outside the city of Albuquerque's city limits, you would apply at that berncode.gov/rent. So if you live outside Albuquerque city limits, and reside within Bernalillo County, that is the link that you would click on and make application for that respective program. Okay. Same thing comparable to Donna Ana. So if you live outside of Las Cruces and within Donna Ana County proper, or actually even in the city of Las Cruces for Donna Ana's case, you can make an application directly to the link that you see before you under Donna Ana County. And as well as if you are a tribal member residing in one of our pueblos, tribes, or nations, and you can make application through your respective Pueblo Housing Authority. They have received funding as well. But if you have any questions or any doubt, please reach out to us. We will ensure to point you in the right direction. I will tell you that when you start filling out the application, if the address and the county is identified as Bernalillo County or within Donna Ana County, it'll automatically let you know and it'll direct you to apply within those two programs, okay? So it kind of helps provide some guidance and assistance there. Next slide, please. Okay, so so what does it cover? 15 months of assistance. So that means up to 12 months of back or rear payments that are owed and 3 months into the future. So, and that is both for rent and utilities. And what I mean by utilities, that includes electric, gas, internet, water, sewer, trash removal, fuel and oil. That is, could be propane, that can be a variety of different fuel sources that you may use to heat your home, to the degree that if you heat your home with hard wood, hard timber, firewood, or pellets, if you can show us that you may owe that money to anybody, we will cover those costs. The one thing that you don't see on there is telephone. Internet, yes. Basic telephone, landline, no. Okay. Other expenses related to housing costs. We do recognize that there are folks, certain individuals that already have lost their homes and are now living in hotels or motels. If you are facing or you are living in a hotel or motel as a result of the pandemic and financial hardships, please apply, because that is an eligible cost for us to go ahead and provide you some assistance, okay? The one thing I will share is if there is any doubt on whether or not you are eligible for this program, please contact us or submit an application and let us work through it to determine yes or no and make it as easy for you as possible. I will tell you that our priority is on your behalf as a tenant or a former tenant. We want to pay the money that is owed to a landlord, property manager, or a utility service provider. Therefore, once we make the award, our priority is to make the payment directly to a landlord and or utility provider. But we are amenable, or we are willing in cases to make the payment directly to the applicant or the tenant. So if the landlord, for whatever reason, may not want to participate in the program and you struggle to get them to participate, don't fear. There's a couple of attempts that we have to reach out to the landlord, but in the event that the landlord elects not to or never is not responsive, we can continue moving forward with the award and we can make that award and funding available to you individually, okay? Again, you heard me talk about 12 months into the past and 3 months into the future. So if you need assistance into the future, we are willing to support you and take a look and provide you that assistance. Next slide, please. So who is eligible? I mentioned earlier, you have to be a renter and or you have to have been a renter. We recognize again that there may be situations where you were a renter, you owe some money to a landlord, and you no longer are in that rental unit, but you want to make sure that that payment is paid and it does not follow you into the future or prevent you from getting housing in the future. So even if you don't no longer reside in that residence, if you owe money, we can help you. The program is really designed to do two key objectives. The first one is prevent homelessness. We don't want anybody to become homeless because the pandemic created a financial hardship, which means you could have lost your employment. You could have had a reduction of hours from your employment. You could have been furloughed. You could have had multiple deaths in your family that put a financial hardship on you with all of the costs for burials. There could be a variety of financial challenges that you may have incurred as a result of the pandemic, okay? The next bullet is 80% of average median income. So what does that mean? What that means is that the Department of Housing and Urban Development at the federal level has determined what is the average median income. Basically, what is the income that the majority of the people that reside within that county earn? And it's different in all 33 counties. It could be 20,000 in Luna County, and it could be 80,000 in Los Alamos. So in order to be eligible for the program, you have to be at 80% of your county's average median income and below. We have those numbers. So if you don't know that, don't worry. We will determine that for you. Okay. And again, here you either have to have been impacted directly or indirectly, as I mentioned earlier, as a result of COVID, and be at risk of homelessness. We definitely don't want anybody to go and become homeless or face housing instability because the pandemic brought on challenges, financial and economic challenges. The last bullet is about self-certifications. What does that mean? That means that we recognize that not all situations is there a rental agreement in place between a renter and a landlord. Understand, sometimes the landlord is renting it and maybe not recognizing the income, so they don't have a formal agreement. That is okay. We will allow the renter to sign a form saying, I am renting this residence and I certify. I am telling you that that is true. By signing this form, we will accept that. Okay. The other self-certification form we will allow is there are situations where you don't have any income. You may be relying on your family to pay your rent for you. So we will allow you to sign a form that says, I don't have any income. I can't show you proof of income because I don't have any income. I don't have pay stubs. I don't have an income tax return because unfortunately I haven't made any income. And by the grace of my family, they have covered my rent. Okay. So if you face any of those situations, you still may be eligible. We will allow you to sign some forms and get past that. And as I mentioned earlier on the last slide, payments, our priority is to have payments go directly to the landlord if possible and the vendor so that we can ensure that we cover the cost, any money that is owed on your behalf. Next slide, please. So this is the part that we're having the largest challenge is what documents do I need to apply? So if you go to renthelpnf.org, you will find a list of a variety of documents that can prove that you're eligible. And I'd like to take a minute just to reiterate the criteria that you have to meet to be eligible for the program. You have to be a renter. You have to be able to meet the income eligibility, 80% of the area median income or less. You have to be able to be in an arrangement where you are a renter. You don't have to have a rental agreement, but we have to be able to verify either by you certifying a form, getting a letter from your landlord, or whatever the case may be. And you have to be in a situation where if you don't receive assistance, that increases your risk of becoming homeless or housing instability. Okay. So there's a variety of documents that can be accepted, and understand that every scenario is different. I may be Donnie Quintana. I worked for a restaurant, therefore I may have pay stubs. I may not. But if I'm Michael, I may have owned my own business. I'm not going to have pay stubs because I own my own business. So the documentation that Michael is going to submit for eligibility may be different than the documents Donnie would submit for his scenario. If there's any doubt, call us. We will let you know. The one thing that we will, sorry about that. So there could be a variety of documentation. Okay, so please, from notice of termination, I will tell you that we are currently working with the New Mexico courts, and anybody that has been served an eviction notice, we are getting that list on a weekly basis and reaching out to individuals to help them and say, let us help you. We know you're a renter because you're being evicted. We know you owe money because the landlord is taking you to court, and we can verify how much money you owe. So a lot of the information is already readily available to us. All we need is your okay to go ahead and proceed with an application. Okay. Lastly, what I want to also stress is that we are currently working with utility companies, and then we are going to look at large landlords and possibly hotels, motels, for them to help us get the documentation or help us verify that you're eligible for the program. We are even working in collaboration with Human Services Department, where we can send them names and they can tell us whether or not you may qualify for some of the programs administered by other agencies of the state, which would automatically mean that you are eligible for our program. So we are trying many ways to simplify and get the information by what we call fact-specific third-party proxies. Okay, I just want to let you know. So the bottom line I would like for you to know here is, even if you don't have the documentation, contact us. Let us know, because somebody else may have the information and can verify that on your behalf. Okay, next slide, please. Do not wait to apply. We have made over $3 million in awards. The program went live April 5th. It took us a little while to get it stood up, to get the application process, bring on staff, bring on a call center, do all the things necessary to develop the program. And now it is in full scale. So please do not wait. We are doing our best. And, there may be situations where we may get flooded with a lot of applications, but we will definitely get through them as quickly as we possibly can and expedite that process. And if it is a situation where you need assistance immediately for whatever reason, we do have an ability to prioritize your application and get that in front of the line so that we can either prevent you from being evicted, or more importantly, if you are looking to get into a rental unit and you need to be able to cover past rent to another landlord, let us know so that we can help you, okay? A lot of information. Please, by all means, go and visit renthelpnm.org. The information is available in Spanish as well as Vietnamese. If you call our call center, we do have the ability to have translation services for 58 different languages. So if you call us and English is maybe not your primary language and you feel more comfortable speaking in your native tongue, if we have a translator, we can go ahead and have the dialogue. So please feel free to call us. I believe that is the end of the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. So with that, I believe I'm going to transition into the Homeowners Assistance Fund. Okay, so the program we just finished talking about is to assist renters. This program is to assist homeowners. We recognize that homeowners face the same challenges as renters have as a result of the pandemic. So with this program, we are currently standing up this program. The state of New Mexico's looking to receive $55 million to support this program, not as high as the $160 million for rentals, but we are currently administering a pilot program or two pilot programs for the state. One of these programs is in the southwest part of the state, and it is providing assistance to folks that need a new roof on their home because their home has been deemed inhabitable as a result of a faulty roof. This program will help you put a new roof so that you can remain in your housing unit. The other program, which is statewide, is a program that allows mortgage payments of up to $10,000 so that if you are delayed or behind on your mortgage payments and in fear of going into foreclosure or already in foreclosure, this program can assist you to get out of foreclosure, or it can get you caught up with your mortgage. And it also has a variety of other housing activities, such as housing coaching, if you're considering purchasing a new house, if you need housing rehab, your windows are bad, your plumbing is bad, your electricity is bad, this program can assist you. So it is a lot more, it covers a lot more activities than the emergency rental assistance. Again, this is the homeowner assistance. We have not received the full funding, but once we do, we will make the program available across the state and the variety of activities. But right now, I'd like you to know about those two pilot programs that are in place. The one in the Southwest for new roofs and the one across the state for folks to apply up to $10,000. That program is being administered by our sister and our partner agency, the New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority, located in Albuquerque. They're referred to as the Mortgage Finance Authority, but they are the New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority, and they are operating this program on behalf of the state of New Mexico. The one thing is, once our program is fully approved by Department of Treasury and we receive the 55 million, there will be a component, there will be an activity where we can help homeowners with utility assistance. So you may be delinquent or you may have some back payments for your utilities. We will be able to help you once we receive the full funding and approval of our program, okay? And you see the information session on the mortgage assistance. Thank you, Michael, for that. Is scheduled for next Thursday, June 17th. And you see the time there. We will talk in greater detail about how do you apply for that money and what's the timeline and so forth. So with that, I believe I've concluded my slides. Definitely, again, available to answer any questions. Please ask any question. I'm here to try to help you as much as I can. We really encourage you all to consider making an application for the program. I will announce that, it started off slow. It's taken us a little bit of time to make sure we got all the staff available to support the program. So if you applied early on and may have gotten frustrated that your award is taking some time, please do not allow that to derail you from making an application for the program now. Give us an opportunity and we will try to make it as fast and expeditiously as possible. So with that, Michael, thank you so much again for the opportunity. I really look forward to seeing a spike in applications, and more importantly, please, again, share as much information as you possibly can with others, because we all know of people in need. So again, thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you so much, Donnie, for being here. And, I just want to echo what Donnie said about the, we know how anxious everyone must be, and how difficult it's been for so many of us during and throughout the pandemic and even now. And so we definitely understand that, any delay in assistance can just add to that anxiety. And, I just want to reiterate that we do understand that anxiety, and we do understand the gravity of the situation. And we're very thankful to organizations like the Department of Finance and Administration for doing what they're doing and trying to get this assistance out to as many people as possible, as quickly as possible. So again, thank you, Donnie and team, for everything that you're doing. And I also want to, again, just reiterate what the information about next week's session again. So we'll focus on the mortgage assistance next week on Thursday, June 17th at 5:30 p.m. It'll be very similar to this program that we're having tonight. Of course, it will explicitly focus on mortgage assistance. And so what's going to be important there is that, yes, we've shared a lot of those details tonight, but we will have additional details to share next week. And probably more importantly than that, we'll be able to answer questions specific to mortgage assistance. So, if you have some pretty detailed questions related to that, make sure to show up and again, share it far and wide with as many people as you possibly can. Again, we really want to get this money out the door. We want to help as many people as possible. So help us to do that. I also want to make a plug for some additional sessions that we'll be having. We will be having, and I'll be hosting some Train the Trainer series for both the Renters Assistance Program as well as the Mortgage Assistance Program. And that's really just to help organizations and providers to understand how to help their communities and constituencies, not only understand the program, but also to help them with questions that they might have during the application process. And that these future sessions will be hosted. We'll be collaborating not only with the Department of Finance Administration, but also the New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority, as well as the New Mexico Center to Eliminate Homelessness, and the Supportive Housing Coalition of New Mexico. So we're here to help. And with that, I'll go ahead and move into the Q&A session. Again, go ahead and feel free to submit your questions here on Zoom and also on Facebook, and we'll get to them in short order. So I'm going to go ahead and start with our first question. Do you foresee being able to get all of the $170 million for rental assistance out of the door before September?
It's a very good question. So on Tuesday, I had the opportunity in the state of New Mexico DFA team had the opportunity to present some concepts to the Assistant Secretary of the Department of Treasury. And one of the things that came up is that they recognize across the nation, because of the criteria that we have to comply with in order to make the awards, that it is taking some time. So the Treasury is well aware of the short amount of time that was provided to launch and ensure that these funds got out to the appropriate individuals. So I anticipate that there will be an opportunity for an extension, possibly of 1 year. Having said that, our goal is to do and get out as much of the funding now as possible so that we don't have to rely on an extension. But in the event that we don't get out the money by September, we will request an extension or we will ask for the repurpose and reuse of the funds, maybe to support other activities. I can tell you that folks in New Mexico are extremely resilient and have found ways to continue to pay their rent. I know that's not across the board. There's some folks that haven't been able to, and those are the folks we really want to help. So we will do our darndest to make sure that the money gets spent.
Thank you, Donnie. Next question, are there funds for repair of rental units that are substandard as well? Updated appliances, heating, cooling, things like that?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So with the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, the answer is no, not for this program. But I will tell you that, so the next program is the Homeowners Assistance Program that we spoke briefly about earlier. And right behind that program is another program referred to as the Emergency Rental Assistance Program 2. And there we may have some latitude and we may have the ability to consider costs like that. That program is yet to be designed. We just have to look and research within the statute and the federal criteria and regulations and guidance, what we can or cannot do. So there may be some opportunity there.
Awesome. And just, I guess, I don't know how helpful this information will be, but just for a little bit of context, Congress approved something in the ballpark of like $50 billion to help people pay their back rent and not be evicted, right? And so the thing about that is that, you know, the money does go to the states, but it also then gets diverted into like a billion little different directions, right? So it goes to the states, to the counties, to the city level. And I guess, you know, according to a recent NPR report, there are about 370 different programs that are taking applications right now. The thing about that is they all have different rules, they have different success rates, and there are different capacity issues. And so so a lot of the programs are having some difficulty getting a super quick turnaround. And so I just wanted to provide a little context there before I ask the next question, which is what are you seeing typically in terms of getting, you know, from the point of application to actually receiving assistance?
Yeah, you know, those are excellent points. And the one thing I will also just kind of mention as well on your sentiments and your comments there, Michael, is the state of New Mexico was the first state in the country to launch our pilot program under the Homeowners Assistance Fund. We were the first state to try to get the money out as quickly as we could. And I will tell you that under the Emergency Rental Assistance Program that we just finished talking about, the program was laid out in March of this year by the Department of Treasury. By April 5th, the state of New Mexico had launched its program. So we are trying to get the money out as quickly as possible. Having said that, it takes some time to build the infrastructure to make sure that you can have success in the program. The one challenge, if I may take an opportunity here to say, is early on and up until recently, the biggest challenge is that we have individuals that are going in and starting an application on the system, and then for multiple reasons stopping. Some will come back, others may not. And if they do come back, sometimes they may start 4 or 5 applications. So now we have to kind of work through all of those and figure it out. But we are trying to take a very proactive stance and calling people and saying, Michael, we see that you attempted to submit an application, but you never hit the submit button. Until you hit the submit button, we can't do anything with your application, because it's kind of like you ordering something on Amazon and you never, check out at the register. So the order never goes forward. That's the same thing with the digital applications. So I encourage people to submit your application. And the second component is the documentation. So one of the things we're really doing is implementing a case management system so that we will call you and work directly with you to get the information that we need. Again, here's the opportunity for us to use third-party proxies. If maybe your landlord has the information, the property, if you live in an apartment complex, the property manager verifies every year your annual income. We can get them to verify that. The utility providers know how much money you owe them, working with utility providers. So in the next couple of weeks, we really are going to launch what we are calling bulk distributions, working directly with utility providers and then moving it on to large property owners and then to the homeless motel hotels where we can do large bulk distributions quickly by getting that third proxy information. And that's going to be one of the strategies that may help us get to the 65% obligation rate by September 30th. But that doesn't take away from the fact that we will still support, to the greatest extent possible, individuals, the mom and pop landlords, the individuals that are renting and don't have rental agreements, and all of those things. So, but again, the best thing you could do is make sure that we have all the information. Because if we have all the information, we can go through your application quickly and determine the award and make the award quickly. It is time consuming to go back and forth, asking you to give us an ID card so we can verify who you are. Obviously, we want to do our due diligence to ensure that there's not fraud, that we're not making payments to folks in Nigeria or anywhere else in the world that are trying to take advantage of this money. So we have to do some pre-checks to ensure that the money is going to a real life person and a person of need. Okay.
All right. Okay, these are great questions. Should students who may have been cost burdened before the pandemic and might be confused about if they have extra cost burdens now as a result of the pandemic, can they now apply? Really anybody in this boat?
Yeah, so that's an excellent question. We've thought about that. There are students that are renters, right? They may rent an apartment. I was a renter down at New Mexico State when I was a student. I rented an apartment. If I have faced some financial hardship and not been able to pay my landlord, obviously I would be eligible to apply for the program. So again, if there's any doubt, call us, let us know, give us an opportunity to look at your application. Again, we really try hard to get to a yes so that we can assist you. So, we're willing to help you as much as we possibly can. Every situation is kind of unique and different, but please, I encourage folks to apply.
And then this is a really good question that, I guess you probably have already received. So if there are people that have already been approved once, but are continuing to have burdens, are they eligible for a second round of funding?
Absolutely. So we can go 12 months back on one request, and we can go 3 months forward with another request, and we can go another 3 months with another request and another 3 months. So the short answer is yes, you can get assistance into the future. We just will do it 3 months at a time.
All right. Okay. Let's see. Do we have any other questions on the Facebook event? It doesn't look like we do.
Michael, can I take a moment? I may have been remiss in stating this clearly, but I really want to thank the city of Albuquerque in partnering with the state of New Mexico and working in conjunction with the program. So we are covering the city of Albuquerque's geographical area, as well as the rest of the state, minus Doña Ana County and Bernalillo County. But the city of Albuquerque is our partner. We're collaborating, we're covering that area, and they have been tremendous to work with. And I just wanted to make sure that folks know that when they apply for the state program and they reside in the city of Albuquerque, it's actually the city of Albuquerque staff that is helping us administer that program.
Awesome. Okay, so I don't see any other questions in the chat or on Facebook, but what I think I want to open it up to you now is, Donnie, you and your team have probably heard, a ton of questions that might not have yet been asked here. So, are there common questions that you're receiving that we haven't gotten to yet that you feel like you can address for the audience, for people that are watching now?
Yeah, so a couple of them that come to mind quickly is I am renting. I don't have a rental agreement. My landlord has never signed an official document. We can have you sign the certification form. That's one. So don't delay or don't be in fear of submitting an application because the landlord does not want to participate. That is okay. We will make the award to the applicant. Again, as you heard me mention earlier, you don't have to be a citizen of the United States. We ask you for information. The information is solely for our use to make determination on your eligibility of the program. It is not shared with any other state or federal agency. So, not to worry. Your information is not going to be shared with anybody. We are just gathering information to make sure you are eligible. The other questions that come to mind are, can I get assistance for rent that is owed and utilities that are owed? Absolutely. You can get rent up to 12 months in the past, utilities 12 months in the past, rent 3 months into the future, and utilities in the future. And the way we work the utilities into the future is we get your average monthly cost. So we may not get it exactly right, but we will get the average. We will give you an award for the average. One of the other important questions that comes up is there a cap? Am I limited to how much I can request? I can tell you the answer is no. We have, our policy is not to have a cap. If you owe $18,000 in back rent and you qualify, we will make an award for $18,000, which we have. We have made an award up to $18,000, as well as $4,000 for utilities for that individual. So that individual actually received $22,000 of assistance. The other question and it's hard to believe for some folks, is there's no strings tied to the money. You don't have to, if you are the individual, you are the renter, you don't have to claim it on your income tax. There's no reporting. If you are a landlord, you do, and if you are a utility provider, you do. So that's sometimes why landlords are disincentivized to not participate, is because now they will get a 1099 at the end of the year, letting know that they got that income, right? So no cap. You can request as much as you think you owe, but based on your documentation, we will verify and we will make the award. Typically, a lot of folks request more money than they're eligible for, but that's okay. We will adjust that and make that correction for them.
Great. And how about, so how about for those of us that are, organizations and individuals that are helping others to apply to the program, how can we help them process applications faster?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. And I see Mr. Gomez with Mutual Aid is on the line. And I know that organization has been a wealth of tremendous assistance for us. So, one of the things we're incorporating is that through Media Desk, so thank you, Julissa and Jose, we will start conducting weekly training events for any nonprofits that want to go through the actual application and process so that they understand it correctly and thoroughly, so that they can navigate individuals through the application is extremely important. There are opportunities. We have spoken to a variety of nonprofits that want to either do the outreach effort and educate folks on the program, but where we're really seeking assistance is folks that, can help us help people navigate through the application. Because that is where the butter is, the bread is really buttered, right? That's going to be one of the critical elements for success for us, is getting people to submit an application, and a good high quality application for us. So, there's opportunities for folks to contract with us to provide that service. So please reach out to us and we will have discussions. And if there's a service that you can provide us of value that we need, we can arrange a contract, and we have funding to be able to, contract with you all.
Awesome. And then, just to elaborate on that point, I'll mention it again. The Santa Fe Housing Action Coalition, in collaboration with a number of other organizations, including DFA and the Mortgage Finance Authority, the Coalition to End Homelessness, Supporting Housing Coalition of New Mexico, we are all collaborating to put on some Train the Trainers series for both of these programs, with the rental assistance and mortgage assistance programs, next week, or coming soon. But we'll share those details as they're updated. But what I will say is to please make sure that you stay tuned on the Santa Fe Housing Action Coalition's Facebook page. We'll share all of the information there, and we'll also be sharing them along with our networks through their outreach efforts as well. So we really want to make sure that we get this information out to as many people as possible.
Michael, if I can just let folks know that one of the efforts that we are embarking on is that our Human Services Department has sent out a text message to all of the folks that are eligible for their program in the tune of 90,000 people.
That's
It
incredible.
sent out a text message letting them know about the program. So if you get messages on your phone, please, by all means, it's coming from a credible source, and we're really trying to encourage people to learn about the program and ultimately make an application for the program. Okay, so
Awesome.
We're trying a variety of means to get the word out. We recognize not everybody watches our local media, news channels. They may not read the local newspapers and so forth. So we definitely are trying every media mechanism or instrument to get the word out to individuals to apply for the program.
Awesome. I guess some of the big takeaways, I guess, if I'm going to sum them up, are a couple things. So one is to apply, just apply, right? So, I mean, we just, went over what the eligibility criteria looks like, who's eligible and why. But it seems like one of the big messages is that, if you're in doubt, reach out. You do have now some contact information for both Donnie and I. Please reach out if you have any questions about any of that, your eligibility at all. We'll be happy to answer them as best we can. But also, I would say, apply. Just get out there and apply. The second thing is that really just keep your eyes peeled for any and every informational session, training session that's coming up, so you can get as much information as possible. I think those are probably the two main takeaways. And that, we really want to get this money out the door. We really want to help as many people as possible. So it really does start with all of you as well. We're doing our best to get the outreach out to everybody. But even if you don't need yourself, if you don't need the assistance, if you know people that do, or if you know organizations, or you have a network of people that might be interested, or have communities that would be interested, share the information as much and as often as possible. So I'd say those are the major takeaways that that I'm walking away with tonight. I don't see any other questions, not in the chat and not on Facebook. And so what I'd like to do at this point is just open it up again for Donnie, if you have any last words that you'd like to leave us with, and Jaleesa, I'd like to give you that opportunity as well. But before I get to that, I just again want to make sure that everybody remembers next Thursday, June 17th, 5:30 for the Mortgage Assistance program. We'll be going over that program much the same way that we did today. So again, bring your questions specific to mortgages and we'll be happy to help. But yeah, Donnie, Jaleesa, did you have anything else that you wanted to leave us with this evening?
Sure, I'll let Jaleesa speak first, and then I will definitely have just some parting words.
Thank you, Michael, and thanks, Donnie. Yeah, just to reiterate what Michael said, please share the information of ERAP and the mortgage assistance. We really depend on everybody to reach out to their networks. The funding's there to really support people during these times. So even if you can't apply, just make sure you send the information to whoever's in your network, because most likely one of them is going to be able to receive the funding that they need. So thank you, Michael, and thank you, Donnie.
Thank you, Jaleesa.
Thank you.
Again, yeah, thank you, Michael, and thank Media Desk for facilitating this, and definitely thank you, Ruth, for the service you provided tonight. Extremely beneficial. Of all my 36 years in government, public servant in some capacity, federal, military, or state, I've never seen a program where there's adequate funding to accomplish what we set out to do. So this is one of the few times that there's ample funding. There's funding available. It would be a very sad day come September 30th or next year that we turn back any money when there's still people out there with need. It'd be very sad for us to face that reality. So please help us get the word out. Please share the information. Give us an opportunity to really look into your situation, and if it warrants it, let us help you. Everybody needs a helping hand at some point or another. The pandemic was extremely difficult, and it's okay to ask for help, and we're here to help. So I encourage everybody, thank you so much for participating. And I know that sometimes Facebook and social media, you can get the word out faster than any other source, and just by voice, you can spread the word. So please spread the word to folks and let them know the program exists. And by all means, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me. And if I can't answer them, I definitely will try to find somebody that can answer them to you. And please be patient with us. A little grace is important as we all go through this because we're all trying really hard to make this a successful endeavor for everyone. So again, Michael, Julissa, Media Desk, and Ruth, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to present today.
Thank you so much, Donnie. And before I let you go, we have one last question. So, and it's
Oh.
specifically for those folks who are facing court dates. Who can they reach directly for those that are facing evictions already to assist them immediately?
Yeah, so I'm sorry. Yeah, the great question. So we are working currently with the Association of Courts. We are working with the district courts. Again, we on a weekly basis receive the list of all the new evictions that have been filed.
Okay.
We are working with the courts to find a way to present to the judge that individuals have applied for the program, and hopefully that will delay their determination on stay, whether or not they evict or not, solely on the fact that people owe money. So we're working with nonprofits like Legal Aid. We're working with nonprofits, civil legal. I forget the rest of their title, but we're trying to work with as many folks as we possibly can to ensure that anybody is on that eviction list has submitted an application for our program. Right now, we have roughly about 500 folks out of 1,000 that we've been able to cross-reference the list that have made application for our program. Unfortunately, out of those 500, roughly about 200 of them have not completed the application and hit the submit button. So we are doing an outreach effort to reach out to them, to let them know if they need assistance navigating through the application, that we're here to help them. And, we recognize a couple of things. The population that is going through evictions, that's typically not the only challenge they have before them, right? They may be going through food issues or child custody issues, whatever the case may be. So, the question is, why don't they just apply? Well, it may not be that easy. They may have multiple challenges before them. And secondly, we know and recognize that some of the folks don't have smartphones. So even as simple as we have made the application on a smartphone, they may have minute-to-minute phones. So we're really trying to facilitate hosting events where people can come and actually fill out the application. I like to tease the folks that work on this project at DFA and through the city of Albuquerque and our contractors that rather than rely on the concept of getting the horse to water, we're really trying desperately to get the water to the horse,
Yeah.
So with that being said, anybody that's going through eviction, we will prioritize you. Please submit an application. You can email me. I will put you in contact with Cynthia Martinez, who is leading that effort up for us on our behalf, as well as Erica Cummings, who is our operations person working with the staff. But you give us your name, you let us know, we will definitely put you on that priority list and work through as quickly as we can and mitigate that. And if we can prevent you from getting evicted as a result of not paying your rent, we will definitely do everything we possibly can.
Awesome. And this is directly related to that. And you maybe have spoken to this a little bit, but for a lot of the folks that are facing evictions, they haven't yet had an answer from their program. Is there a way to kind of check on that status and get help immediately?
Yep, absolutely. So like I say, every week we get the list and we cross-reference it with the folks that have made application or in our database system. So if they're not in our database system, we're reaching out to them. We're sending flyers, we're sending emails to their address that they have information they provided the courts. But one of the things we're really trying to do is actually work with the courts to be able to get the most updated information of what is owed, because in a lot of cases, the information provided to us may not be 100% of what's actually owed, because it may have been a couple of months old. So if we make an award and it's only 75% of the total that you owe, a landlord may still won't consider evicting you. So we want to make sure that we bring you up to 100% caught up with that debt. So even to the tune that we have one of our general counsels at the department now has access to what's known as the SOPA database, which is the database the courts use for all the information on the evictions. We now have access to that information so that we can reach out to these individuals and let them know that help is here.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you again, Donnie, and thank you everyone here, Ruth. Thank you, Media Desk, for everything that you're doing as well, Julissa. We really appreciate everyone being here and for you to not only share this information with us, but to help get this information out to as many people as possible. So again, before everyone goes, again, thank you to everyone for being here. I just want to make sure to again let everyone know to please stay tuned on our Facebook page for upcoming dates and sessions and information sessions and trainings, and that's the Santa Fe Housing Action Coalition. So please make sure to stay tuned there. And if you happen to be on Twitter, you can follow me as well. Well, you don't have to follow, but you can check in. It's Mike Barrio, MICBARRIO. And I share updates on all of these events as well as other housing related issues daily. So again, thank you everyone for being here tonight. This was a very important session. Thank you to the Department of Finance and Administration, Donnie, and your entire team, Media Desk, Ruth. Thanks everyone again, and I hope everyone has a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you all. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.